Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Degrassism, not a color Degrassian popular opinion or a video of an anthology series, but welcome to Degrassism number 100. Can you believe it? I've done 100 Degrassisms and all that. This is just amazing. Now, a Degrassism is a topic video I do that is not a Degrassian popular opinion / hot take or part of an anthology series. Although I have put a couple of finales of anthology series, or on playlist, Degrassi playlist, if you will, on it. But anyway, the 100th Degrassism, and believe me, I didn't know until I went to YouTube today, and this is being taped August 22nd, of course. So I didn't know how many Degrassisms I did. I took out one because it was the Degrassi Principles thing for 2020. Now, because, you know, I'm redoing the Principles thing, my rant / ranking 2022 version, that will be number 100. So I can properly say this is Degrassi number 100. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of examples of Degrassisms I've done. And these have actually been through like 3 years. Like there are some Degrassisms on the playlist that are from a simpler time that I just did like a slideshow thing and didn't reveal my face and all that shit. So I talked a lot about the Degrassi storyline, shooting storyline, the Rick Murray storyline. You know, how the timeline was a case study on Rick Murray, what Rick should or should not have done, why Rick wasn't even punished for his Terry crime. I added the first Degrassi unpopular opinion video I did. Students should be partially blamed about Rick's bullying. I talk about Raditch screwing things up, his blunders in season 4. So you want to talk about Raditch, the shooting aftermath, how the principals handled that, Raditch's mistakes in season 4, all that Degrassi aftermath video. I talk about the aftermath of the characters. Now, of course, you know that was 3 years ago, and things have changed. Things Alex Spinner, Jay should or should not have done. Emma even does that. End of anthology. You get the picture. But it will be. But don't worry. The playlist will be in the Degrassi wiki and all. No, Degrassi Reddit, so you can look at it. So I've done. I don't know how many episodes I've done, but plenty. I talked about J.T. York, the 25 greatest Degrassi episodes. Spoiler: the top 10 worst Degrassi episodes will be coming up soon. I just have to do polls and all that. How we got here, as in, you know, the first ever Degrassi, well, how Degrassi Next Gen came to play. Maya's hate, was it warranted? The best season premieres and finales. A case study on Emma, a case study on Peter. Claire's case study, bad stuff. Audra Torres, Snake. Connor Mia and studying Asperger's. Lots of storylines too. So that's just a key sample. Anyhow, today's video is about the 2022 Principals ranking video. Now you're thinking, hang on, you did the 2020 ones. Have your opinions changed? And for me, it's like, no. The list still with the top 5 principals would be Hatzilakos, Simpson, Raditch, Pill, and Shep. And then now you're thinking, hang on a sec. Then why are you doing your 2022 one? Well, simple. Because although it's not really talked about on Degrassi Reddit as much as it should be, we completely forget. You know, we grew up on Next Gen and all that. I knew I did because Next Gen started when I was 16. Shows you my age, but still. And, you know, Degrassi Junior High and High was when I was a toddler. But the simple fact is, we're neglecting Junior High and High. This program started things, and it goes their philosophy with the whole the whole Spike, pregnancy angle from Degrassi Junior High and lots of stuff Junior High and High, including dealing with Dwayne getting AIDS from a girl. Anyhow, so with that in mind, now this is what I did. I wrote this thing a few days ago. Obviously, I just wanted it for the poll. So here's what I say. 2022 Principals ranking video to do. but want to include Mr. Lawrence of Degrassi Junior High because, in the grand scope of Degrassi, many people like myself forget about the OG era of Degrassi Junior High and High, and how it shaped next gen and next class in the future. And one key example is Mr. Lawrence, the famous unseen principal of Degrassi Junior High. He was heard on the loudspeaker and all that, but never had a face. And how his principal reign compared to the other 5 from next gen / next class is. Now, of course, Degrassi High had a principal, but he wasn't seen or talked about. Maybe it was a woman. Now, I think that's the biggest question, is like, who was the Degrassi High principal? It wasn't Raditch, because he was made as the vice principal, because he said that in the first episode of Degrassi High. And I said my personal rankings are Hatzilakos, Simpson, Raditch, Pill, and Shep. More details when I do my update video. But the main reason why I'm doing this poll is that I want to add Lawrence's name to the ranking, give my input on the man, so the poll is easy. Where do you rank Lawrence? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth? Well, when you add it in. And I'm going to tell you that he is in the top half. So I'm going to go from 6 to 1 with the principals and all that. So here we go. Number 6 is the Shep. So Lawrence didn't rank that low. So the Shep came in after Hatzilakos left for Regina to deal with her ailing mother, and almost took Peter with her, but Peter didn't want to go to Regina from Toronto. And Peter's dad didn't want to allow Peter to stay with them, him and his girlfriend, and his half-sister. So Peter gets himself emancipated and lives in an apartment above the Dot. I think his dad paid for it. But as is, there needed to be a new main person, and that person was the Shep, who was actually revealed to be Lakehurst's principal before the school burned down. And the Shep did not join Degrassi like the students did in season 7. Unfortunately, the Shep was basically one of the worst principals around. He was very sexist and favored the popular crowd and hated the so-called losers, kind of like the gifted class, of Claire, Ali, Casey, and Connor. But the simple fact is that a lot of his sexist behavior came out. In the season 8 premiere, when Degrassi did a fashion show, Shep described Holly J as a tasty little number or something like that. A hot little number, and snake looks protrude and all that. Why would he do that? We learned that Shep had a soft spot for Holly J and the popular crowd at Lakehurst. Holly J even said so. And so Holly J gets elected school council president. Sav is ticked off, saying that there should have been a vote. And Shep gives Sav the vice president role to shut him up, in a sense. Shep gets into a massive a battle with Connor and Claire. And the episode's blanking on me. Causing a commotion, that's it. So logically, Shep was going to be named Principal of the Year. And of course, that gets me thinking, it's like, how the hell is he Shep Principal of the Year? He didn't last a full year of being principal. Maybe he was a principal of another school. I don't know. Because of Lakehurst burning down. But it's like, why? Just because he puts a football team in? Funding for academics went down, and then for athletics went up. And the Shep is the coach of the football team. And wait a minute. Isn't that conflict of interest if he's the principal and head coach of the football team? Usually, I don't think high schools do that. So anyway, the Shep is kind of a jerk in a sense. And doesn't help Jane out when she's bullied by Danny, Derek, and the football team. Although he does praise Jane, but only when she was the hero of a game. So then, in causing a commotion, Shep gets a gifted class to do a presentation on why he's the best principal around. Of course, Connor gets himself in trouble by acting all weird and suspicious, and, he got in trouble for spitting on Ali in detention and all that. Now, I get it. I don't fault them, but he expels them, saying that I don't like him. Claire finds out that from Snake that Connor has Asperger's, and so Claire wants to raise the issue with Shep, but he calls her you're a little bitch. His words, not mine. So anyway, at the Principal of the Year thing, the gifted class play that tape back, and Shep is like, "What the hell is going on?" And then everyone walks out on him. Shep is forced into sensitivity training. Snake takes over for a little bit until Shep is allowed to come back. The students don't want him to come back, but he is back because it's hard to get fired. So in sense, Shep was not doing so well. And he wasn't really prominent that much after he was out of his sensitivity training thing. But then in season 9, he appears for one episode, but then after that, he's gone, and Hatzilakos comes back from Regina to deal with Peter's meth addiction and to help Peter out and take control of the school again. And Shep is released. We don't know how Shep got released and all that. I have a theory that maybe his sexist stuff actually came back to bite him in the butt again. Or possibly during the Degrassi Goes Hollywood movie, when he allows Jay to drive a Degrassi school bus to California with minors and all that, just for Manny to get her acting role back in Hollywood. And it kind of showed how ignorant he was. And of course, the chef was replaced in season 9 by Hatzilakos. I know the actor probably didn't want to do it anymore, Kevin Jubenville, but still, anyway. All right, so number 5 is Pill. Yes, Mr. Lawrence did not make it that low. So number 5 is Pill. Pill was in for half a season. But yeah, she made a massive impact. Snake was in trouble for his role, or his supposed role in Degrassi Nudes. And so he was being investigated, he got canned, and all of a sudden, this Deidre Pill came in. She's actually Tiny's aunt. She seems to make all the right noises by saying that Degrassi's got a behavior problem, I'll fix that. So she decides to have a no cell phones / backpacks policy in Degrassi. Okay, I can take that. And then, Zoe being in trouble and forced to do community service, I guess, as a way to avoid 5 years in jail, basically decides to try to get everyone on her side by smuggling in things. But Pill catches her, but Pill doesn't blow off at Zoe or tell her off to the cops, which would have meant probably Zoe would have been in trouble. But the fact of the matter is that Pill was in a few episodes here and there. She wasn't really that bad. But of course, 2 main problems with Pill. Her cameras in the hallway policy. Now, when Claire had the miscarriage and all that, she was upset. But then, after Pill says we're going to have some people try to go for valedictorian and say over the video system, and she tells Claire, hey, about your miscarriage, everyone's worried about you. And Claire's like, I didn't tell anyone about my miscarriage. How do you know? Because your friends were saying stuff like that. And then Claire clues in that, oh my God, those cameras are to spy on the students, and with audio too. I guess Pill's trying to go on an eagle trip. So Claire goes on the system with her valedictorian speech, but then she also says, I cannot let this pass, that, she's spying on you with these cameras and all that. Pill's upset and tells her, you have a great role as a politician, but as a valedictorian, you're not there. Claire's upset that Pill would do that. Claire decides to smash up all the cameras to get back at Pill. She serves a lengthy suspension. Fortunately, though, she is back in time for graduation. And so practically, Claire decides to take a gap year. But that's not all. So Pill was using cameras to spy on people for her own good. Like, okay, it might work in a sense, but no, it doesn't. It's just ego boosting. And let's not forget the worst thing about Pill is the whole NAP or NAP or no affection policy. She basically decided that Drew's proposal to Becky, even though it failed and Becky spurned him, was a nuisance and was a distraction. How the fuck was that a distraction? Simply put, Drew was not allowed to go to prom. Okay, Drew actually decides to obey Pill and stay at home from the prom. But Audra tells him that, you got to be at the prom and all that. And especially when Dallas bobbles a prom date for a boat, Drew's forced to try to fix things. Audra wants Drew to help Dallas out. So Drew, as student council president, gets the key codes and puts supplies on and the dance at the dock. He pulls it off. Sadly, though, Pill the next day blasts Drew and says, anyone else helping you? Drew takes all the fall, and Pill says, well, you're not going to walk on stage. What? You'll get your diploma, but you will not walk on stage. And I have to make an example out of you for the students next year. And Drew's like shocked that Pill would be so stupid and overreactionary. Audra does tell Drew that he did the right thing. Unfortunately, though, the seniors wrote on the graduation class, "We love Drew," and Pill says, "Well, I know one thing about this school. They have lots of solidarity." So she allows Drew to walk across the stage. And Degrassi's there. Now, of course, this was around the time that the rumors that this was the last ever Degrassi episode. And then they went with the Summer Girls thing, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then Tristan says, "You think that's bad? Wait till the new class comes in." And I'm like, they're not quitting the show? Oh, fuck. Because it is a perfect show. Perfect ending, in a sense. Now, of course, Pill was not around when next class came. Right? Simpson came back. Mostly because I think Simpson's role in Degrassi News was non-existent and he didn't know anything. So basically, they couldn't get rid of him. So they let him back. But I also think that Pill also did it to herself because I think Pill had no clue that Audra had such a prominent role in the school board. Well, she wasn't the main person, but she was in such a position she could tell her superiors at the school board about all this bull crap. And basically, Audra may have gotten to Pill. Pill was so sure she was going to do such a good job that they would allow her to come back. I know that she probably was just temporary, and then when Simpson got cleared of everything, she was gone no matter what. But she was trying so hard to make the school board like her, and then all of a sudden, poof, she's gone. So I think Audra may have had a part to play in Pill's thing. I mean, after all, when you mess with Drew, Audra is pissed off. Audra has a soft spot for overprotecting Drew and all that, especially with Simpson in seasons 10 to 12. So yeah, that's how I feel. I feel that Pill did it to herself, and that was kind of the last straw, not allowing her to come back. All right, so number 4 is the main guy that I like to talk about in many Degrassisms and some Degrassi unpopular opinions is Raditch. Yep, Lawrence beat Raditch. In my mind, I actually think that Lawrence was going to beat Raditch. So anyhow, yeah, you can kind of guess where Lawrence might be. Anyway, so Raditch was at junior high, he was the English teacher, and then once he went to Degrassi High as vice principal, getting under Joey's skin, things happened. He was the guy that Snake told about Claude's suicide because, well, he didn't know it was Claude. He knew that a boy had a gunshot wound in the boy's bathroom. Remember when Claude killed himself? And then they both run and all that to get help. So Raditch is described as the new Degrassi community school or like high school, middle/high school student principal. And Raditch in season 1 doesn't really do too much, except berate Spitter for not taking his ADD pill because he moons the school during a basketball game. He says, "You missed one dosage, that's bad. What happened to the other one?" And Spitter, knowing he didn't want to get Jimmy in trouble, stays silent. And Raditch says, "From now on, you're taking your medication in front of me or someone else. That's for sure." So yeah, Raditch was okay in season 1, and he got the Chuck Norris look. He looked kind of cool and all that. Season 2 is when he was more prominent and more of a dick. I mean, he was there for Snake's bachelor party, before Snake married Spike. And it's funny seeing Raditch out of his element, in like more laid back, being more laid back. But anyhow, so Raditch was prominent in Fight for Your Right season 2. So the episodes that Emma, Ashley, and a few other people want to ban GMO foods from the calf. They give a good performance, and Raditch even bites a tomato, an apple, like a boss. And it was like, what the H? But anyway, Raditch says, "I like your presentation. Sadly, though, we don't have enough money for things, and we're lucky to have a cafeteria." Okay, fair enough. He explained it. Emma didn't take it. Emma says that Raditch was ignoring her. She passes out flyers. Raditch takes them away, and Emma was waving the white flag. And then that stupid calf commercial comes on that gets under Emma's skin. Emma inadvertently starts that food fight, and Raditch blames her because the food fight because of her flyers. How so? How many people took her flyers? And nobody really cared about the flyers. So, Raditch was just basically getting rid of her. And instead of putting her in detention, he suspends her for the rest of the day. Emma refuses to leave, but Snake gets her to leave. And then she protests about Raditch. Off school grounds, but Raditch still wants Emma to apologize for everything that's gone on, or you will be in deep trouble. Emma tells Simpson. Simpson says it's complicated because as a teacher, I can't really help you, but as a parent, I'm all for it. So, of course, Emma makes her speech, gives it to Raditch. Raditch approves of it, and then she apologizes for the food fight and everything. Okay, and then she says, but my voice was silenced. My right to protest was silenced, and he's threatening me with a suspension, and I'll take it. Raditch looks perturbed, so does Liberty. I mean, Liberty, I don't know why she was such a suck-up to Raditch. Like, fuck, Liberty being a suck-up, it's not good. Nobody likes the suck-up or the tattler and all that. Regardless, he suspends her and all that. And that kind of starts his decline. In season 3, he puts 5 students in detention, Saturday detention. Sean, because I guess with Sean stealing the stuff from Degrassi, even though there was no proof, Raditch was upset Sean insulted him, but he knew that he needed to get Sean in trouble. So he puts him in detention. He doesn't suspend or put him at the mercy of the cops. I think Raditch couldn't even do it because lack of evidence. He puts Hazel in because she was looking at some inappropriate stuff on the computer, school computers. Well, that's fair enough. Ellie gets in trouble because she was cutting classes and all that. But then it was revealed that she did it on purpose to get a thing for the school news for her co-op job. But people probably thought she was spying on them because of Raditch. I wouldn't blame them. And then Toby and Jimmy get in trouble because to get Jimmy's friendship after losing JT, in a sense, Toby tells Jimmy he can change Jimmy's grades so that he'll be okay. Unfortunately, Raditch finds out about Toby changing the grades, and then Toby tells on Jimmy, and they're both in trouble. Now, I thought the Breakfast Club episode was a little bit off-putting in a sense. It's like Raditch is just being overbearing and all that. But they were all punishable offenses. There's nothing wrong with giving them detention throughout the week, or even giving them a suspension. Or maybe even in Toby and Jimmy's case, maybe talking to the cops because, you can't just go in and change grades and all that security issue. Toby had that in season 1. But as is, Snake comes back from his chemo, wants to go back to Degrassi and tells Raditch their kids, they make mistakes, they're learning from them and all that. And Raditch is convinced and lets them all go free. Okay. But you know how Raditch is. And then by season 4, he lets Rick back into the school with seemingly no circuit breakers and all that. He has to go see Sylvie, but everything else, just nothing. So when you look at things, it's like, what the heck? Raditch, in that stupid deleted scene that was not put in the main product, said that, without a criminal charge, I can't do anything about it. Fair enough, I get it with him. Raditch couldn't do much and says, if a student doesn't have a criminal charge, he or she will stay in my school, like it or not. He knows about the Rick situation. He knows the students are not going to like it, but he has to put Rick back. I feel like he had no choice. But he could have just gone against it and said, well, Rick should go to another school because, it's hard pressed. And then, of course, he chastised Emma for blocking him at Rick, saying that, stay out of this. This is not one of your stupid crusades. Which leads me to believe he still has a grudge against Emma for the food fight thing in season 2. I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, I understand. But simply put, Raditch was just, a little bit off kilter and all that. Rick comes to him in Time Standstill Part 1 and tells him all about Jimmy and all that. And Raditch takes this concrete evidence and says that, try harder to make friends. Not everyone is forced to make friends with you. You got to do a better job. Now, Rick, of course, didn't say that Jimmy was bullying him. I think that if he did, either Raditch would have believed Rick and helped him, or at the very least, Raditch would say, next time this happens, you tell me, I'll do something about it. But no, he let Rick off. I mean, he does chastise the school after the Painted Feathers, saying that I've never been so insulted in 25 years of being an educator. Fair enough. I get it with that guy. So, anyhow, Raditch, in another deleted scene that was not put in the main product, he hears Spitter clucking at Rick, who was still with the Painted Feathers, and wants Spitter to come see him at 3:30 for a talk. And then he tells Rick that he can go home. Rick says, I gotta go to my locker. Okay, fine, then leave. And then Snake chastises Raditch, saying that, he's crying for help. What are you gonna do about it? He can't do more harm than if he's not here. And then Snake needles him again, and Raditch says, from my understanding, this is not daycare, and making friends is not part of the curriculum, which means he's missed the point. Well, I say preschool because it makes much more sense. Preschool and daycare are almost the same thing. But as is, Raditch is walking that tightrope, especially when he deals with the whole season 4 stuff. And logically, he's trying to fix the school after Rick's shooting rampage and all that. Unfortunately, he cancels Dracula because of how gory it is. And, it's a week after Rick died. I get it. You can always just say, let's just postpone it. We have to keep postponing it until further time. But no, he didn't do that. He ticked off Liberty and JT. They do the Raditch song. He overreacts by giving them Monday detention. And then at Bark of the Moon, he's gone. He's been reassigned. He could have been fired, but methinks that he couldn't really get fired because the school board would have been in deep trouble. If they fired Raditch, Raditch could have said something about the school board saying that, you didn't tell me to get rid of Rick. You said I should bring Rick back. And then if he did that, then I think the school board would have been in deep trouble. But yeah, the school board did the zero tolerance policy on Degrassi students because of that. And Raditch was gone. Yeah, Dan Woods wanted to leave the show, and it was no good that he was in California. And then the Degrassi producers had to fly him to Toronto to shoot some lines and then fly him back to California. Cost effectiveness. But I think Dan Woods wanted to leave the show. I don't blame him. All right, so number 3 is Mr. Lawrence. Yes, it's Mr. Lawrence. You knew it was going to be that. Yep, he's number 3. He won the poll. The poll was like what number? And with 11 votes out of 30, spot number 3. 5 people wanted to put him at number 1, 5 at number 4, 4 at number 5, 3 at number 6, and 2 at number 2. But number 3 wins. So, yeah. Okay, so from what I know about Mr. Lawrence, and I don't watch Degrassi Junior High that much, is that, he was never seen. He always spoke through a loudspeaker. He got angry at a few people, especially with the Spike pregnancy angle, because rumors were circulating that Mr. Lawrence was going to kick Spike out, was thinking about kicking Spike out because she was pregnant, and the parents were upset because, it would have given their daughters probably an idea to get pregnant and it'd be glorified, although Spike was struggling. So Lawrence wanted to kick her out. Raditch actually said that, I disagree. She should take her exams at the very least. Yeah, but, Lawrence was in the PTA and the parents were in his head and all that. And, of course, Lawrence was pissed off that Caitlin would write that op-ed, kind of insulting his choice, and he basically gives Caitlin a lot of detention and threatens suspension next time she crosses his path. And you're thinking to yourself, man, what an overreactionary guy. Kind of reminds you of Raditch at times in Next Gen. But the simple fact is that, he was not happy a student went behind his back. Okay, fair enough. Caitlin should not have done the story anyway because she didn't get Spike's POV. And Raditch knew that too. Well, Caitlin is told that she did the right thing, but she should do better in another day and all that. And of course, Lawrence ends up kicking Spike out. I guess the parents and all that. It makes me wonder if Caitlin's article actually was another catalyst for Lawrence to kick Spike out. Maybe he did it. Get on Caitlin's nerves. Although Caitlin then becomes a journalist and wants the truth and all that stuff and to fuck authority, if you can figure that. So yeah, Lawrence was not really seen in all that. Now, of course, there were a few comments on that Reddit post, but the one comment I'm going to say is by Rachel Violetta, who has all but certainly been my muse in Degrassism. Like, I don't really talk to Vamp that much anymore, but yeah, Rachel Violetta has come full circle, and she has been basically helping me out with a lot of stuff. Now, we don't have a code, we don't talk to each other, we don't plan things out. So, anyway, she did talk about the whole situation with the ranking instead of as well as Mr. Lawrence. But anyway, here's what she said. I Rachel voted for him to be fifth. I voted, yeah, all but the Shep. So basically, she wanted Lawrence to be fifth. The Shep was toxic and evil, honestly. It was cute how Mr. Lawrence was hurt but never seen. And he wasn't unlikable. But he also wasn't actually actively involved with the kids, like Raditch was when he was a teacher and then the VP. I think Raditch is only unlikable if you solely take him on as his next gen phase, not his 80s thing. And I would probably rank him second after Snake, because even though the unnegative things happened on Snake's watch, he cared, he knew his students, and he remained an active member of the school. She couldn't get past behind Miss H. She ran the school pretty well, but she was too rigid. And we're supposed to see how a principal has to balance things out and how the nicest person, maybe Snake, isn't always the best person for the specific job. Snake probably would have done well if they followed the 80s script and made him the vice principal like Raditch and Degrassi High, which would have allowed him to be the person directly working with students and advocating for them instead of trying to bounce everything and have him fall down because he can't placate the students at the PTA and other interested parties all at once. Snake was at his best when he dealt with the kids directly. So was Raditch. When they had to deal with paperwork at the PTA, they were less effective because they were focusing on this. They spent most of their careers focusing on the students, and now they had to focus on PR for the school and making the PTA school board happy. So logically, yeah, she puts her views about it. And to me, I actually originally was going to put Lawrence number 3 in myself, pencil him, because the top two, like, for everything that Lawrence did, I mean, Raditch really lost the plot in season 4 of Next Gen and all that. I just couldn't put Lawrence behind Raditch because, Raditch left the school on a sour note because of the whole Rick Murray situation. Not just letting Rick in, but ignoring Rick. And, things would have come out. And Lawrence, I think, definitely would not be as sexist as the Shep or as overreactionary and basically putting cameras to make her ego look good, like Pill. Like, I don't think Lawrence had an ego. So I would have put him at number 3 myself. Thankfully, everyone agreed with me. So anyway, number 2 on the list is Snake. Snake is basically in the top 2 for one reason: his longevity. As principal, he was temporary principal in season 7, and then from seasons 9 to 14 until he got axed because of Degrassi Nudes, he was principal. And then for next class, no one else was principal other than him, all 4 seasons. So he spent a lot of time as the principal and all that. He seemed to be the perfect candidate for principal because he cared about the students and everything as the media immersion teacher. And he could have been the de facto vice principal of Degrassi Community School. Of course, Snake was upset that Raditch ignored the signs with Rick and all that and just chose not to have the hindsight. Like, I get it. Like, Snake has a right to be pissed off. But the simple fact is that Lawrence wasn't really number 2. Snake was number 2 because of his longevity. And yes, Snake went up and down, up and down, up and down. And it seemed like it was either Snake was pretty good with the students or not so good with students and basically punished them. He had little middle ground sometimes. His high points were trying to make like a rubber room for students who are struggling, try to make things better for students' posture, being lenient to them. But of course, Snake's downfall is the students mishandling the situation and breaking his trust in season 10. I don't blame Snake one damn minute by saying that to the students, you betrayed my trust on Vegas night. And to be fair, Snake was right. But there should have been chaperones and all that. Why didn't the school have chaperones? Would have solved the problem and probably kept Snake alive. Well, Snake did keep his job, but he was draconian. The students didn't like it, but, I get Snake's point of view. The students mishandled it, misused his trust, and all that. But the simple thing is that, Snake at times would grovel to Audra, especially with Drew and Adam in season 10, and then would grovel to Zoe's mom in season 13. It seemed like, Zoe was cyberbullying Maya, but yet Maya got the most punishment and was put in the rubber room for the year. Like, what the fuck? And Zoe got a little blame, and Snake didn't say, okay, well, maybe Zoe might be lying, or Maya deserves better credit. No wonder Maya hated Snake's guts. And then, you got him with Hollingsworth. It's like, he's trying to keep his job. Hollingsworth's the mayor and may have used mayoral powers to get Snake to grovel. I mean, how come Miles didn't get any punishment for starting that fire in Firestarter season 14? How come Frankie didn't get much punishment for her racist poster? And how come Hunter was allowed to come back to the school after the offense of bringing the gun to the school to try to go after Maya and Goldie? I mean, Miles stopped him. The Hollingsworths put him in a psychiatric ward for a few weeks, and then he was allowed to come back. Like, I know Snake didn't know about the gun and all that, but if Snake had known about the psychiatric ward, he probably would have thought twice, saying, I can't allow Hunter to come back. And all that. Yeah, but he was scared of Hollingsworth. Say what you want, but I still say Hollingsworth got into Snake's head. Audra got into Snake's head. Lots of people got into Snake's head, and he was doing his best to try to protect his job. And Rachel was right about that. But number one is Hatzilakos, because she became principal at a tough time, a dark time in Degrassi, and she made Degrassi more likable. She did make a few fatal missteps along the way, but she was still okay. So anyway, Hatzilakos was the science teacher who JT wanted to crush on, but, it's all that. And then all of a sudden she becomes principal, because in Bark at the Moon, when Manny and Marco go to the office, it was supposed to be Marco and Paige, but Paige was too busy with Mr. Olander. They notice Raditch with the box saying that, if I'm the principal I assume you want to see the principal, but I'm not the principal you want to see. Is that a riddle, sir? No, I've just been reassigned by the school board. And then Hatzilakos moves her stuff in. Surprise! I'm the principal for the time being. And then Hatzilakos says that, the school board did their part to try to settle things down after the tragedy, but it's our turn. So she wants some bright ideas about how to get the school's spirits up and all that. And she's going to greenlight Dracula again. Because she knows what it's like. She knows she's done the right decision. She's making all the right noises. Raditch even thinks she's making all the right noises. Now, for Raditch and Snake's problems in season 4, they do shake hands in Bark of the Moon. You can kind of see it in the background. But yeah, Hatzilakos did a good job. I mean, yeah, she expelled Spinner and Jay, but Spinner came to her with everything to do with the Rick situation, that said that he had done the paint and feathers, and he told Hatzilakos he was responsible for the paint and feathers alongside Jay. But, he didn't say anything about forcing Rick to shoot Jimmy. Although Hatzilakos kind of did say in her thing, a boy is dead and another boy's in a wheelchair because of your reckless actions. So I guess she kind of did know about Spinner and Jay putting the blame on Jimmy instead of themselves, because, the paint and feathers thing. And Spinner figured he was in trouble, and Jay was trying to help his best friend out. So yeah, she says zero tolerance, you're expelled. I would have expelled them too. People said, oh, she was overreacting. No, this is a tough time. The school board was putting pressure on Degrassi because of bullying Rick and all that. I know that some people say, oh, Rick deserved to be bullied. Yes, he did, but he deserved it for a small time, and then once it's proven that Rick is not going to back down, you back off. But unfortunately, that turned out to be wrong. So Hatzilakos gets rid of Spinner and Jay. Alex gets no problems because, Spinner and Jay refuse to talk about her. I think Alex would have been dead meat too. I think Hatzilakos would have expelled her too. But yeah, so Hatzilakos deals with stuff. Season 5, she allows Spinner to come back and says, you're on a short leash. And Spinner says, I will not tick you off this time. And he doesn't. I don't think he gets on Hatzilakos' nerves. Kind of with the friendship club, but Spinner only goes to that to try to get better and all that, and prove that he's trying to win his friends back, slowly but surely, which he does. But yeah, Hatzilakos had the issue with Emma in season 5 because, Hatzilakos was flirting with Snake, Hatzilakos went through a divorce because her husband cheated on her with the secretary, who he got pregnant. And, midlife crisis. They share an innocent kiss. And it was funny because Hatzilakos was kissing Snake and Emma was also with Peter. It would have been funny. And then, oh yeah, I forgot that, I everyone was shocked after Peter did what he did to Manny and did her topless video and all that. Peter got in trouble with his mother. Hatzilakos is the principal, and Peter is Hatzilakos' son. There, Emma and Manny are shocked. Oh my God! They think the father is Satan, and I agree. But anyway, yeah, Hatzilakos. You know, it was weird. All that. Hatzilakos and Snake kind of ended their relationship. Emma hated Hatzilakos for breaking up the family and all that. And then season 6, she's forced to put Peter under house arrest because of his role in the that drag race for Emma's heart, which Sean got in trouble for hitting the guy and going to jail. And then, Hatzilakos was upset that Peter broke his curfew and all that. But Emma wanted him to. It was Emma's fault in a sense, too. But yeah, Hatzilakos didn't punish Peter for his role in, planting the drugs in Sean's locker to get rid of Sean. Because I don't think she knew. I mean, Snake said he was going to say something, but Sean said it's pointless. But no, Snake should have pursued saying that, no, it's good for you, Sean. Even if it doesn't get you back to Degrassi, it'll get Peter out of Degrassi. Hatzilakos' thing with Peter was kind of ticked off. Peter got less punishment than he deserved. He deserved to be expelled in season 5. Heck, maybe he would have been expelled in season 6 if everything went together about the drag race and all that shit. But yeah, I mean, a mother's love is unconditional, but still, it's a little pissy. And that was one of Hatzilakos' biggest problems. I mean, she was decent in season 7 and then season 9 when she came back, although she kind of did scold Riley for being homophobic and Allie for those photos. But still, I mean, Hatzilakos was okay, but, the only major controversy she had was with dealing with her son, who she should have expelled. She didn't have to foresee a couple of shootings like Snake. She didn't have to get angry about a student being pregnant and being thrown out like Lawrence. She didn't directly have to deal with a student being allowed back to school when he should not have been, causing a ruckus and then shooting somebody before dying himself, kind of like Raditch. She didn't have to deal with. She wasn't sexist or perverted like the Shep, and she didn't overstep her boundaries too much like Pill. So she's number 1 for a damn reason, and fight me on it. Okay, well, you'll have to come to the kitchen and fight me on it, but what else? Anyway, thanks for watching my 100th Degrassism. It went longer than I thought, but at least it wasn't an hour. So anyway, keep looking to the skies, keep watching Cutter Historical, because there'll be more Degrassisms, more Degrassi unpopular opinions, and maybe a Degrassi anthology series? I don't know. I'm going to probably run out of ideas soon. But anyway, thanks for watching.